Hey, Dave Dynasty here for the Tommy Wildfire Rich School of Wrestling in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. You know, I've spent years in the wrestling business, from wrestler to promoter, and now as the host of the Dave Dynasty Show. To be successful in the wrestling business, solid training from experienced instructors is mandatory if you're going to make it today. And that's what you'll get at the Tommy Wildfire Ridge School of Wrestling. Not only instruction from former NWA World Heavyweight Champion Tommy Wildfire Ridge, but many other big-name wrestlers, managers, and referees. And it gets better. Tommy Wildfire Ridge School of Wrestling will provide in-ring training and personal character training with all practices recorded on high-definition cameras. They have over 2 tons of weightlifting equipment and tanning beds located in an indoor sports facility that will host monthly wrestling events, bringing in names big enough to ensure that you, as a beginning student, will get seen. This school has it all. For anyone interested in the Tommy Wildfire Ridge School of Wrestling, call 336-862-5528 today. Once again, that is 336-862-5528. Ask for Chris, and you will immediately be on your way to your career in the wrestling business. Once again, call Chris at the Tommy Wildfire Ridge School of Wrestling at 336-862-5528.
The talking, nagging, lucha watching, puro viewing, indie supporting, drinking, cursing son of a gun of a podcast. Join former pro wrestler and promoter Dave Dynasty and co-host Ike Isaacs as they talk wrestling and interview those within the business, bringing positivity back to pro wrestling. This is the Dave Dynasty Show.
Greetings and welcome to the Dave Dynasty Show. This is your host, Dave Dynasty. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing? I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. If you didn't, shame on you. But yeah, like I said, thank you for joining us. However you do, whether that be on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, or the many other podcast platforms we are available on. Whichever means you do, please subscribe to us. Like, comment, share, do all those things. Support the podcast that's putting positivity back into pro wrestling and supporting Midwest professional wrestling in all its grand forms. Well, we got a great show today. We've got former WWE superstar and Midwest wrestling legend Al Snow on the show. Got a great interview with him. Al talks about his career and talks about his new Collar and Elbow clothing line. It's a cool thing. We have new wisdom from Mance Warner, as we do every week. And hey, for those of you out there who went and visited our sponsor, the Tommy Wildfire Rich School of Wrestling, had their grand opening this past weekend. Great event. Had plenty of signups. The first class is going to be underway before long. Very cool thing. You can still check them out. Just listen to the commercials. All the info is given there. Give them a call. Get on board. Get trained by a legend. Tommy Wildfire Ridge School of Wrestling. We'd like to thank them for sponsoring the show. Some amazing stuff there. Don't miss out. So, did everybody go out and to a show this past weekend? I didn't get to. It was my birthday. The family had plans for me for my birthday. Thank you to everybody that wished me happy birthday on social media. It was overwhelming. The amount of people, it was just mind-boggling. Thank you to each and every one of you. It is greatly appreciated. But if it wasn't your birthday and you didn't have a good reason, you should have been at a wrestling show. You should have been supporting wrestling in your area. Get out to those shows, and support the guys. Buy a shirt, buy a picture, take a selfie with them, get their autograph. Tell them how much you appreciate what they do. And so, yeah, hit us up online. Let us know what shows you went to. Tag us in your pictures. And let us know what shows you're going to this week and this coming weekend. Maybe we'll see you out there. I'm going to be getting out and about to the shows. Maybe we'll see. If you see me, come up and say hi. Take a picture. Post it up Tell the world that you're a friend of the show. That's what we like. It's all about community. It's all about being a part of the Midwest Express. So let's keep that love train rolling, as Austin Idol would say. Let's keep it flowing, keep it building, and show the world that the Midwest is the greatest thing going. Hey, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will have that interview with former WWE wrestler and Midwest wrestling legend Al Snow. Stick around.
We'll be right back.
Visit our friends at the Masked Republic. Go to luchaloot.com and luchashop.com and use the promo code DYNASTY for exclusive discounts.
And welcome back to the Dave Dynasty Show. I am your co-host, Ike Isaacs, and today I am joined with someone who might be a little different from your regularly scheduled Dave Dynasty programming. We have the one, the only, Al Snow. How are we doing today?
Good. How are you, Ike?
And
thank you very much for having me on.
Well, thank you for coming on. Let me just say that nothing surprises you more than being given a text saying, "Hey, Al Snow is going to be your interview this week."
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a little different.
Yeah, it is a little different, but it's a good different, and it's an amazing different. And let me tell you, I'm excited, and I hope you're just as excited.
Very.
Right on. So then we'll just kind of go ahead and just, do what we do best and talk about some wrestling. But first, let's get to know a little bit about who Al Snow is.
I'm originally from Lima, Ohio, and started professional wrestling in 1982. It's been 35 years that I've been in the ring. This was WWE for about 13 or 14 of those years. Traveled the world, still continue to go all over the world. I've gotten to be on 6 different continents. You name the country, pretty much. I've pretty much been there all. I've been in 49 of the states. I've just been very fortunate and very blessed to get to do what I love to do for as long as I've gotten to do it.
Absolutely. If you don't mind me asking, what's the one out of the 50 you've never been to?
Alaska. Haven't gotten a chance to go there yet.
I'm not 100% sure how big the wrestling scene is in Alaska.
I'm not sure either. I know that they have ran shows there in the past. I've just never had a chance to be on them. So.
Well, then hopefully we can see you be in Alaska sometime.
yeah, hopefully.
Complete that full 50. But
that'd be awesome. I want to go to Antarctica just to put my feet, just get off the plane or off the boat, put my feet on it, so that way I can say that I've been on all 7 continents on the planet. So.
Well, I was just saying, I don't know how big the wrestling scene is in Antarctica either.
Well, you never know. Those penguins, boy, they love to turn it up. So we'll see.
Yeah, the penguins. That's right. Right on.
Yeah.
So definitely, like you said, just by saying what you've already said, you've wrestled in so many states, so many continents. I mean, that alone makes your resume as a wrestler beyond incredible. But obviously, there was some lead up into becoming the wrestler that you are today, of course. So, when you were kind of growing up, did you have any significant memories of wrestling, or was there? Do you know, or can you remember, I should say, when it was that you decided that wrestling is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Being from Ohio, we had the original Sheik, his wrestling company, and when I was very young, and then it went away. And then when cable television, this is dating me and aging me, but, when cable television first, the advent of cable television came in and back to the mid to late 70s, we got, a WTBS at that time and Turner Broadcasting. And when we did, we got Georgia Championship Wrestling. And then that was it. I was 14 years old, and I was in love with wrestling and made the decision that was it. That was what I was going to do with wrestling. I was going to be a professional wrestler, and made that decision and pursued it. Started pursuing it right then and there when I was 14.
Absolutely, and of course, along the way, in terms of pursuing your dreams, you have met some of the most incredible names in wrestling, of course. But to kind of start out, you were trained by Big Jim Lancaster, correct?
Yeah. I'm surprised you knew that. You did your homework.
Yep, I try to do my homework, and 90% of the time I do. That's why I generally average a B in school. But
good for you.
But what was your training like?
It was very basic. The real training, and still to this day, the real training is not prior. The real training is when you get out in front of an audience, and that's where you really learn. The training that I went through, back in those days, there weren't wrestling schools or anything like that. Wrestlers would just, find some local gym they could take guys to. And so I got basically trained on 2 half-inch tumbling mats and a boxing ring, which was just terrible. It was like getting thrown on a concrete floor. It just couldn't, it was still painful. But, you learned the real basics of real wrestling, of how to really apply real holds and how footwork, timing, distance, etc. That things that aren't getting taught these days.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, of course, like you said, I think you already mentioned that you debuted in 1982, but tell us about your debut and how that went after having experienced your prior training, and what was it like getting into it at the first time?
Well, it was May 22nd of 1982. I had a 2-ring, 20-man over-the-top rope battle royal that was my very first match. And that was, it was an eye-opener, that's for sure, compared to what I thought it would be. And then I, did that, and the next week I went out to St. Louis and, wrestled Kerry Von Erich and Hercules Hernandez and a couple other big names at the time, and and I've never looked back since.
So that's interesting. You said you wrestled Kerry Von Erich. I'm kind of a Von Erich, big fan of Von Erich. So I love, all of their matches, and I'm a little bit of a historian with the Von Erich. So how was that match when you wrestled Kerry Von Erich? Just kind of a side note.
Not just a TV match, he was a wonderful guy, and we became friends, and, he was really a great person. But I was just, was very young, very inexperienced, and, it was maybe 7 or 8 minutes, and that was about it, if I can remember.
Right on.
So I remember he threw a beautiful drop kick, that's for sure. So.
That's good, though. I mean, it's always interesting to hear that, though, especially, that young and that, fresh. I mean, I bet that was pretty incredible, though.
Oh, yeah, it was. It was really awesome to, get the chance to do that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So then, one of the notes I have here, because, me and Dave, we always kind of come up with some notes. This one I actually don't know a whole lot about, but he asked, you wrestled and ran a training school for 10 years and had a reputation for being one of the best-kept secrets in wrestling. Were you ever frustrated waiting for an opportunity?
Oh, it was incredibly frustrating. I mean, it's very complimentary, but after a certain time, you want people to know the secret. You want to get up there. And, it was certainly very frustrating to, have that reputation of being the best-kept secret. It was just, let's get the secret out there and start telling people. And, when I finally got an opportunity, it was like I needed to make the absolute most of that opportunity that I could. I didn't ever want to go back to being a secret.
No, absolutely. And I think we're all very glad that you're not a secret. But I can attest to that as a fan. But, definitely I would think that would be very frustrating. And like you said, I mean, that was something I didn't know a whole lot about. And he explained to me, and I was like, whoa, hold up, hold the phone. But during those early years, you worked a lot of tapings for various territories like the AWA and various NWA groups. What was it like working for those in the territory years?
It was so much fun because you were was a lot of fun, and you had a lot of freedom. But the downside was that if you didn't have a name, you weren't entitled to get paid. If you were not a factor in how many people showed up in the building, you're kind of relying on the very last remains of whatever of that money, and so it was a lot harder and a lot tougher to survive. I remember, I tell this story all the time, and it's kind of funny, but back then, a microwave oven was a luxury item, so gas stations didn't have microwave ovens to heat up food. So they used to have these terrible sandwiches that they sold at the gas stations in the freezer. They were called Stewart sandwiches, and they're like 50 cents. They tasted horrible cold, and they didn't taste much better warm, but at least they were palatable. And so I learned how to take a Boy Scout mess kit and some muffler tape and put it on the manifold of the car and heat up a sandwich as I drove. And I called it the barbecue. So
that sounds like one of those, amazing inventions that like MacGyver would come up with. But
you'd be surprised when you're hungry what you'll do. So
exactly, you're just like, I'll do about anything for something warm right now.
Exactly.
Wow, that's actually really interesting though. I'll have to
I'll even eat White Castle.
Do you what now?
I said I got so hungry. I said I would even eat.
That's a true story. There are very few times where I've ever said in my life, "Hey, you know what sounds really good right now? White Castle."
Yeah, White Castle.
Oh, I definitely feel you there. Yeah. I feel like that's one of those ones that you really do eat when you are like on the bottom of the barrel, because those things are like 50 cents a hamburger. And but anyways, just spent a year. If I'm not mistaken, it was 1988 to 1980. Which this is Jerry Graham, Ohio. What was it like working for Jerry Graham Jr.?
It was an opportunity, and I was, I had my partner Nicky Doyle, who's been around since 1972. And, now, when I look back and know what I know now, if I knew it then, I could have made a much bigger impact with that. It was a good opportunity for us. I took and made the most of, but I could have done a lot better with.
Absolutely. And I mean, like you said, I did say like you said, because you definitely can see now with more experience that, hey, a little more.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. But had a great time, met some wonderful people. Where I met Johnny Canine for the first time.
Wow. So then...
the legend himself, Johnny Canine.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Bro, buddy.
But then let me ask you this, though. This is obviously a little off tangent here, but if at this point, let's say at this point, 1980 and 1989, at this point, what would be the one thing you would go back and change, if you could? And of all time at that point.
The one thing I would change back in 1988. Well, I blew out my left knee in 1988, so I'd probably change that. I would change how I approached wrestling the matches that I wrestled. That would be what I would change, because I could have made myself into more of an attraction in a draw if I'd have just utilized the time in the ring a little more wisely.
Absolutely. It's always interesting because, people say that sometimes. They'll say, hey, I wish I could go back and change it. It's always interesting to hear what they would change. But
just my approach.
No, absolutely. I think, had that been a change you could make, that might have been a good change. But certainly, you went down a different path. And, of course, we see Universe 1 here, where Al Snow was like you said, has traveled all over the world and is renowned. So I guess it didn't end up too bad, right?
Not at all. I've never had a regret doing what I've done and going the places I've gone. And, I've had varied experiences, very high and very low. And, but I wouldn't change a thing. It's been fantastic.
Absolutely. So then, speaking of some of those experiences that you had, you started wrestling in 1995 for ECW in Smoky Mountain. But eventually you left ECW and just focused on Smoky Mountain. So what led to you leaving ECW?
Paul Heyman didn't book me anymore. Pretty simple.
Yeah, I was
When I started with ECW in 1995, and I was contacted by Cornette, who had seen me with Dan Severn on a UFC pay-per-view. And I was a little bit of a smartass on an interview that Dan was supposed to do, and he was kind of verklempt, for want of a better term, as far as what to say. So I just took it upon myself and made some wise-ass comments, and because I was getting frustrated with the interview, the guy, the commentator who was interviewing Dan, and so Jimmy saw that I had a personality and a character, and he had an opportunity because Gilbert had just left and wanted me to come in. I spoke to Paul Heyman, who said, "Yeah, that's great. You can do both places." And Cornette even said, "You can work in both places." And then I went down to work for Jimmy, and Paul Heyman just never booked me again at that time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Which probably was pretty frustrating, but obviously you got to work with Jim Cornette and Smoky Mountain. So how was that? How was working for Smoky Mountain or working for Jim Cornette in that manner?
It was great. It was so, it's such a learning experience, and getting an opportunity to wrestle with, guys, work with guys that, have so much experience and varied experience, and, and getting to, see and meet Jim Ross, who was instrumental in getting me into WWF at the time, and, and that was pretty much where my career started going up from there.
No, absolutely, because then the next thing you said, you were signed by the WWF, and one of the things that, I've noticed, and when, you look back on, is that the WWF at that time was starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger, because, obviously they were the biggest in the world. Everybody knew pretty much what WWF was. But, of course, at that time, they were starting to expand a little more, starting to get a little more, I guess you could say, creative in a manner. But early on, you went through various gimmicks, including Avatar and Shinobi. And then you were known as, if I'm not mistaken, Leif Cassidy, and you teamed with Marty Jannetty. So what was it like being a part of the New Rockers? That's a good question.
Marty is such a talented person, and so smart when it comes to the wrestling business. And, it was a great opportunity to get to spend time with him. It's just, and understandably, Marty didn't have his heart into the New Rockers persona because of the fact that it kind of, was a rub on, what he had done with Marty and how successful he and Marty were. And, it was done a little tongue-in-cheek, and, he had not done seriously. He did not, he didn't have his heart in it. So, it had its run, and then it was, then Marty, got his release and left the company.
Certainly. But that was one of the things that I always kind of had in my head, too, is, I remember, thinking back and having seen different things from that era, and I remember seeing that. But also at that point, you eventually returned to ECW for a little bit. And this is also another kind of bigger thing that I remember about this time period, was that you developed the gimmick with the head.
Yeah.
So,
I was, for the grace of God and, ECW, the grace of God, and the plastic head. I've had a career ever since.
So whose idea was it, and how did it evolve? Whose idea was it to give you a mannequin head?
Well, it was my idea because I had, at the time, was trying to show that I'd had a nervous breakdown from all the frustration, not having the success I wanted to have over so many years. And doing some reading on what do you call it? Abnormal psychology.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's
And they had a case study of a woman who suffered from paranoid schizophrenia and transference disorder, meaning she heard voices from inanimate objects, but she transferred her sickness onto them, believing that they were crazy, not her. So, I found a styrofoam head in the back, and I thought, I'm going to take this to the ring, and it's going to talk to me, but basically I'm going to treat it as if it's crazy, and I'm not. And that was it. That was the birth of it.
Absolutely. I mean, it seems pretty straightforward. It seems pretty clear-cut. And I mean, don't get me wrong, that was a great gimmick because, like you said, I mean, that was another step up for you. But then once you returned to the WWE with that gimmick, you feuded with Big Boss Man, which resulted in the infamous Pepper for Dinner scene and the Kennel from Hell match, which I vividly remember both of those. So tell us about working with Big Boss Man.
I can't say enough positive things about Big Boss Man. He was such a terrific person. I mean, a real genuinely great human being, and a great worker. He was a great heel. It was awesome. It was just unfortunately the concept of involving animals. I mean, everybody in entertainment knows that the two things you don't work with. I mean, hell, even people in porn know that you don't work with animals or children. I mean, because they're going to upstage you. You know what I mean? It's just not a wise idea. And then especially when they kind of, the company itself dropped the ball, because from the day one of starting the angle, I was like, hey, we need to have trained animals. We need to have trained animals. We need to have trained animals. And when we arrived in Charlotte, North Carolina that day, there were like 10 different people standing with 10 different dogs that one had some obedience training. So now you create a story that in the crux, the driving force of the story are animals that you can't utilize in the story at all, because they're not trained to do what they need to do. So didn't go well. But saying that though, it's still my responsibility and Boss Man's, and we tried to do our absolute very best to take what we had and make the best of it. But when you've for months sold the idea that the crux of this story is going to be the dogs, and then the dogs are urinating, defecating, and fornicating around the ring where you can't show them even on camera, then there's no point.
Yeah, as I say, I can't remember who said it, but it's like the age-old saying, you can't polish a turd. I mean, you can, but
you try your very best, but and that's the number one rule in wrestling: the show must always go on.
Exactly.
And it's just the way it is. You take crap and you make shine oil. I mean, it's just, you have to do it. But when you have, it's like writing a mystery novel and nobody gets killed, or writing a Western and there are no cowboys. It's kind of hard to tell the story when the whole thrust of the story that you're telling you can't utilize.
Absolutely. But like you said, the show must go on, and regardless of what was going on outside the ring, the match inside the ring was spectacular. Of course, I mean, you guys always put on an absolutely spectacular show, and I think regardless of the varying degrees of animal phases on the outside, I mean, it was a good match. Regardless of that,
we did what we could.
Exactly.
Yeah, we did what we could, and we were really scrambling and trying to come up with, whatever we could to make it interesting in spite of the lack of being able to utilize the very thing that we had built the whole story about.
Absolutely. So then kind of to, depart away from the animals kind of failing to do what was supposed to be done there, or whatever it might have been. You know, you were also kind of an interesting, dynamic that we saw was that you were a partner and a rival to Mick Foley.
Yeah.
So tell us about Mick Foley. I mean, we always hear crazy stories about Mick Foley, and he seems like a pretty good guy. But what was it like? What was your relationship with Foley like?
Well, we traveled together, and when we would travel, we'd contribute to each other. Giving ideas and suggestions and directions, and stuff like that. Just because that's kind of what you do when you're in the car together for hours at a time. And we would, we had this, and still do have this on-air or on-screen chemistry, kind of almost like Martin and Lewis, or, any other number of comedic tag, teams. And it worked, and still does. People are still interested in it and still enjoy it. So.
Absolutely. So then, of course, we're coming up on, we're looking at all these different companies you've worked for, and we're looking at all these different things that you've done, all of which are, fantastic and great in their own aspect. And this is something I was kind of curious about, too, because I've heard horror stories and I've heard good things, but you were also a part of TNA for many years, both as a wrestler and behind the scenes. So what was your time there like?
It was, I enjoyed it very much. I mean, it was very positive, and we had not lie. I mean, they're very public situations with pay and things like that. But I tell people all the time, you can only be treated the way you allow yourself to be treated, regardless of what the situation is. And, TNA served a purpose for me. And that was why I stayed the whole time I stayed. And, it was a very positive situation in a lot of ways, because I got an opportunity to, work with a lot of great people, a lot of great talent. The run, we call it a run in wrestling, because in wrestling, you're never hired. You're never an employee. You're always, it truly is an opportunity. And you never know how long that opportunity is going to last, especially in wrestling. So, to last as long as I had, I was thrilled to have that. And to get with a lot of the people I got to work with, I don't think people, and I've said this before in some other interviews, I don't think people realize just how hard everyone at TNA have worked. They have a third of the budget, a third of the talent roster, a third of the production people, a third of the not even a third of the office staff, and they produce a show that can at least hold somewhat its own, against WWE. And that's a testament to just how hard everybody there, works from in the ring to out of the ring. I mean, everybody just really went above and beyond. But, unfortunately, everything comes to an end at some point in time. And, there were, financial reasons, which were quite simply, Jeff Jarrett returned and brought his own crew of guys. And, that now leads to where the other group of guys have to leave. And, I've been that group of guys that get to come in, and I've also been that group of guys that have had to leave, too. So, I have nothing but no negative things to say or anything like that. And I wish TNA, the best, and hope they not only continue to survive but can thrive, because professional wrestling and professional wrestling fans and professional wrestlers need as many alternatives out there as we can have.
Absolutely. I 100% agree, because, it'd be a boring world if we just had the WWE, right?
If that was it and nothing else, then yeah, I mean, it just, you know, every other industry, every other business, there's multitudes of, you know, people that, you know, different companies that have a certain share of the market. So, you know, let's hope that, you know, TNA continues on and keeps growing and getting stronger. And, you know, maybe someday I'll have another opportunity to go back and do business with them again.
Absolutely. And hopefully we can look forward to hearing about that. But definitely,
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like you've worked for pretty much every company that is imaginable. You've worked for pretty much all of them. I mean, past, present. I mean, who knows future, what could happen? But, you know, beyond just wrestling, though, you've also become known for your training of wrestlers. So what is it like to teach, and what do you like about teaching?
Well, I love teaching. I think actually if I leave any legacy behind professional wrestling, I hope that it's, you know, all the people that I have a very significant amount of people that I have trained that have went on to have successful careers on to one degree or another. And, you know, nothing makes me prouder than to watch, you know, the guys that I've trained, guys and girls, succeed and go on to live their dreams. And it's just awesome. I mean, it really is, to be able to, you know, feel like you've been there and been a part of, you know, helping to contribute to these people and their you know, their careers, and breaking them in and teaching them the right way. And it's really satisfying and rewarding them. You know, I've started my own, you know, Al Snow's Wrestling Academy in London, and you know, I've got affiliate schools, 2 more in the UK, 1 in Portugal, 1 in Chile, 1 in Greece, 1 in Romania, 1 in Denmark, all over the world, that, you know, are continuing to grow, and eventually I'll, you know, locate some here in the United States as well, and you know, continue to train, you know, young professional wrestlers that will be the future of the business, and, you know, carry it forward and hopefully carry my reputation and my name forward for years to come.
Absolutely. And kind of to go along with that, you know, about your brand and your name and your legacy, you also have an apparel company, COLLARxELBOW. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. Yes, I just started a wrestling apparel company called COLLARxELBOW brand, and really I started it because it did it out of just the love and the passion that I have for professional wrestling. I think that I might be the only wrestling apparel company that is by a wrestler, and you know, I do it for the wrestling fan in all of us, and not just for professional wrestling, but wrestling in all its forms, whether it's Greco-Roman or freestyle or catch-as-catch-can or jiu-jitsu or judo or MMA. I love wrestling, and you know, COLLARxELBOW brand, we're doing a couple of things that are a little different. We took a unique approach in trying to market and at a low cost, hopefully help you know, professional wrestlers on the independent level that don't have a brand or a name or a gimmick or a character just yet, that they can, you know, sell merchandise and try to make extra money to help themselves survive. By building this brand, we have what we call sponsored athletes who help us to market the brand and put it in front of as many eyes as possible at a grassroots level, but at the same time, they get a discount code that's unique to them, and then if somebody buys a discount code, they get a 40% commission for the sale, which basically is $5 a shirt, which translates. And so it's a way for us to hope a little have a better chance to increase their. Because I remember what it was like when I first started, eating images off the engine. I'm like, oh. and then secondly, we're, also we have an affiliation with the Cauliflower Alley Club. For those that don't know what Cauliflower Alley Club is.
Oh, can you still hear me? Hey, sorry. Can you still hear me, Al?
I hear you just fine. Can you hear me, Ike?
Yeah, sorry about that. No, it's starting to cut up just a little bit. Last time I heard you said something about the Cauliflower Alley Club.
Okay. For those that don't know about the Cauliflower Alley Club, it's a charitable organization. It's been around for decades that helps with former professional wrestlers and boxers. They just recently bought a handy handicap accessible van for one of the older wrestlers. Buy a piece of apparel from Collar and Elbow brand, then you can round up your purchase, and then that difference we contribute to Cauliflower Alley Club, which doesn't sound like a whole lot of money, but when you start selling thousands of pieces of apparel, hopefully that money will add up and we'll be able to help the wrestlers that came before us.
Absolutely. I mean, it sounds like an amazing, just amazing in general. I mean, that just sounds incredible because for definitely, like you said, for people who don't know what the Cauliflower Alley Club is, it is a fantastic association that is doing what it needs to do, and like you said, it does do some great things. And so, kind of to follow up on that, where is there a place that people can go to visit Collar and Elbow, either social media or to buy things?
Okay. To buy any of the apparel, all I have to do is go to COLLARxELBOWbrand.com. And we've got several different designs up there right now. We'll have new designs every 3 months, along with a seasonal piece of apparel for each season. And and support, help support those young independent wrestlers. Find one of them that has code, purchase something, you'll save 10%, and, and help them out at the same time. On social media, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at COLLARxELBOW on all 3 platforms.
Absolutely. And then last thing, do you have a social media where people can follow you and what you're up to?
Yes, I do. On my social media, Real Al Snow, and yes, there were some fakes, and I would message them and say, listen, if you're going to fake being a celebrity, aim higher.
All right, so you heard it here, folks. Go visit Collar and Elbow, visit social medias, visit Al on social medias, go buy some stuff. And ultimately what this is going to boil down to is, as always, you need to support independent wrestling because it is the blood and lifeline of all wrestling. But Al, I want to thank you for coming on here, talking to us about, your wrestling, your life, and also about awesome things that you're doing. But do you have anything else, any other notes or anything else you want to tell the fans out there?
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you to you for giving me the time. And secondly, I want to say thank you to the fans. If it weren't for the fans, I wouldn't have had a career. And, without you, there is no us. And Collar and Elbow is made for the fans in all of us. Whether you're a wrestler or you're somebody behind the scenes or a promoter or you're just a fan who buys a ticket, Collar and Elbow is a way for you to, show your love and passion for the sport and help the future of professional wrestling, and also, to honor and help the past at the same time.
That's right. So you heard it. Do it all. And of course, it's an absolute pleasure and an honor to talk to you today, Al. I mean, honestly, there's very little, there are very little few people who would actually come on here and talk to us about all the stuff that you have, and certainly someone of your caliber. It's incredible to talk to you, so thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much. I really, really do appreciate you giving me the.
Come crack open a cold one and let Old Manser tell you a story.
King of Big Dog Style, Laird and Light Beer, the king of the trailer court, your favorite wrestler of mine, me.
This is Warner's Wisdom with Mance Warner.
Dramatic pause. Dramatic pause. Dramatic pause. This is your favorite wrestler of mine, me, the king of Big Dog Style, Laird and Light Beer, the master of the pop-up headbutt, the Southern Psycho, Big Doggy Cool, Old Manser, baby. Mance Warner, back at it right here on the Dave Dynasty Show. Another edition of Warner's Wisdom. Coming from yours truly, Old Manser, like I said, your favorite wrestler, and mine, right here. So, let me sum up the week real quick. Down at IWA Mid-South yesterday, Old Manser, Danny Adams stepped in the ring, beat the shit out of each other. When that comes out on DVD, I'll tell y'all when it is. Y'all need to buy it. That was a hell of a matchup, hell of a contest, hell of a show, top to bottom, great card. Nah. I'm going to do something a little different today. It is Dave Dynasty's birthday. Not today, a couple days ago. I already told Dave happy birthday. So I ain't going to say it again. He knows I told him. Y'all know I told him. His birthday has passed now. So I thought on this edition of Warner's Wisdom, Old Manser usually come on here and tell you some tips for the road or some tips for the ring or some tips for something. I'm just going to give you a little story here. Take you back in time to one of Manser's own birthday bashes, right? So I'm going to rewind, go back in time, paint a picture for y'all, give you exactly how this birthday went down. Now, at this birthday, you know Old Manser stirred up a riot. Cops got called. One of the best birthdays for me. Everybody else that attended it hated it. So, old Big Doggy himself gonna get on here and take you way back in time to Old Manser's 9th birthday party. Old Manser's 9 years old. It is a beautiful day, much like it is right now. Real nice. It's cool outside. I ain't sweating my balls off or nothing. It's Manser's birthday party. I'm 9 years old. Just turned 9. Got all my friends there. My family's there. We got some cake. Got some ice cream. Maybe it was an ice cream cake. I don't recall. I don't remember that much. I drink a lot now. Old Manser forgets stuff. That's just the way it is. So, anywho, I got some cake, some ice cream. Maybe it's ice cream cake, like I said. I'm sure there's some Kool-Aid jammers somewhere around the vicinity. I'm probably pounding 8 or 9 of them, getting my sugar all. I'm just freaking out. I'm just shaking, running around like the Ultimate Warrior, going nuts, right? Manser's always done everything in excess. I can't just have one Kool-Aid jammer. I got to have about 9 or 10 of them bad boys. Like nowadays with my light beer. I can't just have one. I got to have a whole bunch of them, man. So, anywho, the birthday party's going on. I got all my friends out there. We're at the park. There's a river in the distance. There's the park. There's a big old field of grass out there. Old Manser out there moving around in the grass with my buddies out there. We out there acting like dummies. And we at the park. So what occurs here, my family's off in the distance too. They're doing their own thing. They probably got some light beers going at that point. Another group of kids come up to Old Manser, right? And what occurs is these kids, same age, maybe a year or two older, I can't recall. But they come up to Old Manser and they start talking some shit, right? They start trying to boss us around. And y'all know Old Manser. I don't take kindly to that type of treatment. So little 9-year-old Manser trying to have a good time. I take all I could take and I can't take no more. So Old Manser, I'm wearing my little baseball hat back then too, and I take it and I turn it around. And all my buddies kind of just a quiet hits because they know what's going down now. They've seen me getting fights down to damn trailer court anywho, so they know what's going on now. I got my buddies with me. I got four of my buddies behind me. The rest of them took off. Boom, they're gone. Boom, they took off because they knew something was about to go down. This other group of older kids, they just staring at us, still running their mouth. Old Master, turn that hat around, baby. Old Master puts his foot down in the dirt, and he draws a line right there. And Old Master tells him, this is my birthday party, and I'm going to do what I want to do. I proceed to cut a promo on these kids. The kids still ain't backing down. They take a step forward. Old Master, in my mind, as a 9-year-old, all hyped up on Kool-Aid Jammers, I know you done crossed that line. This is my birthday party at my park with my family and my buddies. So once he crossed that line, the first one, the biggest one, the big bully out of the group, he crossed that line and I peppered him right in his face, right in the mush with a big old dramatic pause, wackadoo, right to the face, boom, laid him out. All of his cronies started taking steps in, boom, I'm just throwing them wackadoos, man, pop, 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 pop. My friends jump in. My friends get taken out pretty quick. It's down to Old Master and this group of older punks. So I'm peppering them. I'm keeping them back for a second, and then I go, I got to take a chance here, man. I got to go up top, baby, to the tippy top. Old Master proceeds to turn around. I jump up in there. I take off running. I hit to the playground area, right? I jump up on the monkey bars, make my way across, hop up onto, it's like a wooden deck right there. Old Master run up, make his way up. I take a left, and there is the big old slide. Now this type of slide is more like a big old tube, right? Them jerks, them bullies that came to my birthday party are down on the ground still. Old Master goes inside the tube, and I slide down head first into what could be called a suicide dive, I guess you could say. Old Master don't do no dives. This is as close as you'll ever see Old Master do a dive. I go shooting down that tube, down that slide, baby. Come right at the end, boom. It was like a bowling ball hitting a whole bunch of pins. They all go down, man. The kids start getting up. They're working up to their knees. Old Master starts running through there, just dropping big old knees. Big old knee pad up, knee pad down. Boom to the heads. I'm laying these punks out. Bop, 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 bop. Take them all out, baby. And you know, Old Master, I turn around, jump back onto the monkey bar, and I pose. I throw my hands up in victory now. At this point, my sugar high starts to crash. So I got to get over there quick to where the cake and ice cream, or maybe, as I said, it could have been an ice cream cake. I don't recall. I jump down on the monkey bar, make my way over to the cake and the ice cream, or ice cream cake. And Old Master proceeds to get his sugar peaking back up to where it needs to be, as the 9-year-old Master had just beat the bejesus out of 7, 8, maybe it was 9, maybe it's 10. I don't know how many bullies. Now, the moral of that story is, don't ever try to ruin nobody's birthday party. Dave Dynasty, I hope you had a good one, my man. Happy birthday to you. That was Mance Warner Wisdom for the week now. I mean, y'all should have seen it. I was out there just giving out wackadoos left and right, brother. I was laying them down. Now, Old Master gonna get off here. Y'all enjoy your week. Y'all know the routine. Every week, tune in here to the Dave Dynasty Show. The best part of the Dave Dynasty Show, Old Master, Warner Wisdom, King of Big Dog Style, Larritz and Lightbeard, the Southern Psycho, King of the Trailer Court. Right here, Dave Dynasty Show, Old Master, Warner Wisdom. Y'all have a good one.
Hey, Dave Dynasty here for the Tommy Wildfire Rich School of Wrestling in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. You know, I've spent years in the wrestling business, from wrestler to promoter, and now as the host of the Dave Dynasty Show. To be successful in the wrestling business, solid training from experienced instructors is mandatory if you're going to make it today. And that's what you'll get at the Tommy Wildfire Ridge School of Wrestling. Not only instruction from former NWA World Heavyweight Champion Tommy Wildfire Ridge, but many other big-name wrestlers, managers, and referees. And it gets better. Tommy Wildfire Ridge School of Wrestling will provide in-ring training and personal character training with all practices recorded on high-definition cameras. They have over 2 tons of weightlifting equipment and tanning beds located in an indoor sports facility that will host monthly wrestling events, bringing in names big enough to ensure that you, as a beginning student, will get seen. This school has it all. For anyone interested in the Tommy Wildfire Ridge School of Wrestling, call 336-862-5528 today. Once again, that is 336-862-5528. Ask for Chris, and you will immediately be on your way to your career in the wrestling business. Once again, call Chris at the Tommy Wildfire Ridge School of Wrestling at 336-862-5528. And welcome back to the Dave Dynasty Show. Once again, this is your host, Dave Dynasty. Thank you for sticking around and listening today. Hope you enjoyed the interview with Al Snow. Hope you feel wiser, thanks to good old Mance Warner. We have a great interview next week. We have former professional wrestling manager and wrestler Izzy Slapowitz on the show. And I know what you're thinking. A lot of you probably don't even know who Izzy Slapowitz is, and that's too bad. Because you will. That's the great thing about it. There are so many guys out there that the world has not heard of. That's what we're trying to do, right? The world hasn't heard of these guys like they should have. So we're trying to help preserve their heritage, preserve their legacy, and get the word out there about these guys. This interview, we recorded it this past weekend. It's huge. It's nice and long, and Izzy has so many amazing stories. You are gonna want to hear these stories. I mean, there's stories about Randy Savage, stories about Kevin Sullivan. God, I don't even know what else. Gorilla Monsoon. There's just so much good stuff. You're not gonna want to miss this. If you're a fan of the old ICW, the PAFO the group, you're gonna want to especially make sure you hear this. And if you're a fan of the old ICW and you are on Facebook, which, you know, who's not on Facebook, right? Make sure you look up. There's a great group out there. My buddy Joe runs it. It's called ICW, the Outlaws of Pro Wrestling. I believe that's the name. It's something to that effect. Just look it up. Or send me a message, and I'll send you the link. It's a great group. Hit it up. He'll let you in, and it's awesome. There's lots of good stuff, and it ties in. It ties into the interview with Izzy Slapowitz next week. And there's also a WWA wrestling group on Facebook that's really, really great. So, hit that up too. Support the Midwest, right? Like I said, everybody is a part of this community. Everybody's a part of the Midwest Express. Let's help build. Let's help the momentum go. Let's show the world that the Midwest is the best thing going in professional wrestling, past, present, and future. So, if you, like I said, if you want, hit me up, and I'll send you the links to those groups so that you can get in. They're both great groups. You make sure you visit DaveDynasty.com. There you can click on our Amazon.com affiliate link so that you can do your shopping through Amazon.com. No additional charge to you, but it helps us out. We get a little kickback. Help the little guy, right? Don't click on the links for the big shows that are the guys that are already, got 7 figures in their bank accounts. Help the little guy out. And like I said, no additional charge to you, but you're helping out with the production costs of the show and helping us do this thing. There's also an affiliate link there for highspots.com. If you are going to buy any wrestling memorabilia through them, click that link. Again, no additional charge to you, but it helps us out. And there's also links there for our, Facebook page, our Twitter account, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure you're on YouTube, because I got some more WWA wrestling and probably some more Bruiser Bedlam in the latter years that I'm going to post up. You don't want to miss any of that. So make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. And there's links there where you can see all of our podcast episodes, past, present, future, in all their formats. What else do we have? Oh, yeah, there's the link to our Pro Wrestling Tee store where you can buy the official Midwest Express shirt. Everybody needs one of those. Those things should be popping up all over wrestling shows around the world. So get one of those. Help out the show. We also have the Dave Dynasty logo shirt. There'll be some new shirts coming there soon, but get on there. Click that Pro Wrestling Tees link. Order a shirt. How many Midwest Express shirts can we sell? It's the uniform of the community. Let's build this family, and let's take it a little higher, and show the world what the Midwest is all about. I'm checking out of here. Like I said, next week, great interview with Izzy Slapowicz. You don't want to miss that. Again, whatever means you're listening to us, please click subscribe. And if you listen to us through iTunes, rate and review us. It helps us out. We greatly appreciate it. We're out of time, and I am out of here. Until next week, be good, be safe, be independent, and keep on growing. We'll see you next week. Goodbye, and thank you.